Shavua Tov Kulam. We are continuing with Chagiga. We're on Daf Yudal and Amud Aleph, 14a1 in the English, on the where it says Katu Echad Omer. We're now going to see two psukim, and they are both, sort of speaking, describing Hakadosh Baruch Hu, and they seem to contradict each other. So let's take a look. Katu Echad Omer. There is a pasuk in Daniel, which we're going to see in more depth shortly. And the pasuk in Daniel says, "Levushe kitlag hivar." His garment was white as snow. Use'ar reshe ka'amar nekeh. And the hair of his head like clean wool, like bleached wool, which means his hair was white. Okay. And then we have another pasuk, and this one is in Shirashinim. And in Shirashirim it says, Kitzutam taltalim shehoret ka'orev. His locks are wavy, black as the raven. So you have here two descriptions of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, one by Daniel and one in Shirashirim. And one seems to describe Hashem as having white hair, and the other one as is describing Hashem as having black hair. So which one is it? That's the Gemara's question. Now, obviously, your question to me is, how does Hashem have any hair? I thought ein lo guf ve'ein lo demut haguf. He has no body. He has no image of a body. So what is the Gemara meaning by that? And we'll have to see shortly. Okay, so says the Gemara. Let's see the Gemara's answer. Gemara says, Lo kasha, there's no question. Kan beshiva. This is where his hair is described as white, is speaking in the context of a rabbinical academy. Kan b'milchama, where it says about black, that's talking in war. Okay, so you got to get the context of the psukim. The pasuk in Daniel is talking about how Hashem is sitting on his throne, and he is acting as a judge, and as a judge, he's punishing the umot ha'olam, the nations of the world. He's judging them. And so, says the Gemara, that's why Daniel has the vision as Hashem has white hair, because judges have to be white hair. They have to be scholarly, they have to be elderly, have to have life experience, have to have knowledge, have to have all these things, which is usually someone who is older, right? So therefore, they had white hair in the image. Someone pointed out on Shabbat that that's perhaps why in the in certain countries like the British, the English, that their judges would wear white wigs, right, to give themselves the hair of the white, like it says in the pasuk in Daniel, right? Okay, and the pasuk in Shirashirim that is discussing is talking about how Hashem fought the Mitzrayim, how they fought the Mitzrayim in Mitzrayim as we were leaving from Mitzrayim. So there, Kamba Milchama, the Amarmar, but you have a statement. The only thing that's good in yeshiva, the best thing in the yeshiva is the zaken, is the elderly scholar there who's able to teach the others, right? You have to have bachrim also in yeshiva. You have to have young boys in yeshiva also, of course. Otherwise, there's no yeshiva. But for them and for the yeshiva to run and to have the right things, you need the elderly scholar there, right? He's able to give them the guidance and stuff. But by milchama, when you come to the war, right, you also need elderly generals and stuff like that also. But at the same time, the biggest asset in the war are those who are young and agile and can do things. And so the bachur is the main one. The young man. So same thing over here. One image like this, one image like that, depending on the context of the image. Now, there is a Rabbeinu Chananel on our page, on the left margin, left far margin. It says Rabbeinu Chananel, and about 2/3 down, he writes over here. I'm going to read. He talks of this. Okay. Yesh mi she'omer marot halalu kederech halom niriim. These things that they saw, Daniel and Shirashim, that they saw, these images of Hashem, black hair, white hair, they were like dreams. כדכתיב אם יהיה נביאכם השם במראה עליו אתוודה בחלום אדבר בו וכתוב ביד נביאיהם אדמה. So Hashem says, I'm going to show them images in the dream. I'm going to give them certain appearances. להודיע שמראה לנביאים כאין דמות בהובנתה דליבה. And so when he gives them a nevuah, he gives them an image so they can understand it better. He has no image. שאין שם דמות שאילו היה תמיד אחד, או דמות בכור לעולם, או דמות זקן לעולם. Because if Hashem had an image, he would be either an elderly man the whole time, or a young man the whole time. Not back and forth. There is no image at all. And what he showed to the Nevi'im was just something like an image, an appearance, a vision, a hologram, so to speak, so they can understand what's going on. And there are those who say, Malachu. It actually was an angel. So when it says that his hair was black or whatever it wasn't actually an image of Hashem. Rather, it was an actual malach. I guess some malach have black hair, some malach have white hair, whatever it is. So that's the Rabbeinu Chananel, a very important reminder that ein lo guf, ein lo demut aguf. He has no body and he has no image of a body. Okay, fine. Continues the Gemara. The Gemara says, "Katuv echad omer." One pasuk says, this is back to the same pasuk in Daniel. You want to take a look at the whole pasuk in Daniel? It's in Torah or Shalom, the far right margin. Daled brings the whole pasuk. Chazeh haven adi charsevan rimin v'atik yomin yitel levushe kitlag chivar usar eshe ka'amar neke karsiyeh shevivin din nur galguli nur dalik. Okay, the pasuk in Daniel, obviously it's not in Hebrew, it's in Aramaic. And the pasuk is saying how there was cheers and that were set up from the old days, and Hashem in his white cloak and white hair is sitting there on the chair, and it's on fire. It's a fiery throne, and that's the pasuk. Okay, so now in the same pasuk, in one part of the pasuk it says, "Karsiyeh shevivin dinur." His throne was fiery flames. His throne in singular. And in the beginning of the pasuk it says, Adi charsevan rimiv va'atik yotiv. I watched as the thrones were set up and the one of ancient days sat. And there it says thrones. So which one is it? Is it a throne or is it thrones? Lo kash, it's not a question. Echad lo'av, echad David. One is his throne and one is David's throne. Echad lo'av, echad David. Devrei Rabbi Akiva. These are the words of Rabbi Akiva. Amar Lord Rabbi Yosef Aglili. Rabbi Yosef Aglili told Rabbi Akiva, Akiva, ad motai ato, it says Shechina chol. How long are you going to make the Shechina profane, make it lose its kedusha by comparing it to humans? We have a pasuk that says you have to fear et Elokim tireh, right? You have to fear Hashem. And Rabbi Akiva would learn the words et, and he added et includes Talmidei Chachamim. And Rabbi Yosef say, okay, first you said fear Hashem, also fear Talmidei Chachamim. You said Hashem is compared to humans, and now you're saying, Hashem had two thrones, one for him and one for David. Stop it already! Stop it already! What is it then? The echal tzedakah. One was din and one was tzedakah. Like we say on Rosh Hashanah that Hashem was sitting on his kisei hadin, and we blow the shofar and he goes to the kisei harachamim. Say the same thing with the Zara. It says Hashem is judging the whole world, and he sees it has to be destroyed, so he gets up from his chair of judgment, and he goes to his chair of mercy. So there are chairs up there. There's a din and there's staga. Echal din, echal staga. There are different chairs that are up there, and that is what it means. The two types of seats. Kibumina or like kibumina. Did Rabbi Akiva accept this or not? Toshma. We have another brayta that says echal din, echal staga. The two chairs, one for the din, one for staga. Divine Rabbi Akiva. So evidently, Rabbi Akiva accepted Rabbi Yossi Glili's opinion. Listen to this next one. Oh my Lord, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah sees Rabbi Akiva and says, Akiva, ma lecha etzel haggadah. What do you have to do with Agadah? Agadah, again, are those teachings of stories, of explanations, non-halachic portions of the Talmud are called Agadah. So he says, what do you have to do with Agadah? Keep your words until you get to the sophisticated topic of halacha of Nigaim B'Halot, Tumah V'Tahara, for Tzarat, and for Tumat Hamet, and stuff like that, which requires a lot more stamina and understanding. That's what you should be talking about. Now, why would Elazar ben Azariah say this? So they bring from the Sefer Rav Pa'alim. Rav Pa'alim is the Ben Ish Chai. And the Ben Ish Chai says that Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, he looked at the soul of Rabbi Akiva. Here, we're going to read the Lashon. Rabbi Elazar hitbonen b'nishmatos Rabbi Akiva v'ra'a ki chalko rak b'alachot v'lo b'agadot. Okay? V'chein zeh katov b'tzadik. So Rav Tzaddik and the Ben Ish Chai, they both say the same idea, that Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah looked at his neshama and saw his neshama was all about halacha. And he really didn't have the neshama for Agoda. Now, everyone has to learn everything, right? But maybe, he had his inclination was more for halacha, and that's what he's supposed to be teaching, and not the Agadic portions. So Elazar ben Azariah explains, one was the actual chair, and the other was the footstool. His chair to sit on, and his rafraf, his shrafraf, the footstool to put his feet on. Shnemer hashemayim kisi, v'haaretz hadom raglai. The earth is my footstool. So that's what he's saying over here. Okay, fine. That's that Gemara. Now we come to our next Gemara, which is a little scary in the sense that Yeshaya, Hanavi, gave a bunch of curses to Klal Yisrael and telling them the troubles and tribulations that will come their way if they don't do teshuvah. And at one point, he gave 18 curses in a few psukim. And he wasn't satisfied, we're going to see, until he told them a 19th curse. We have to understand what's going on here. Why is Gemara bringing this here at this point? We mentioned before, you have to have certain qualities and learn in order to learn the Maaseh Merkavah, learn Kabbalah. And the qualities were from this psukim in Yeshaya, from these 18 curses. And there's certain qualities that will disappear from Klal Yisrael. That's what the curse is about. There are certain qualities that can disappear from Klal Yisrael as the Churban is coming. And the Churban comes. So that's why this Gemara is coming over here. Now, the Ben Ish Chai does point out, as Ben Yoda, he says, why are only these 18 curses considered? There were more curses than that. So he says that all the other curses that Yeshaya gave, he never said that the Talmidei Chachamim will go missing. This curse that he's about to give is saying that Talmidei Chachamim will be disappearing from Klal Yisrael. And we know that the Torah is able to always overcome everything. Talmud Torah keneged kulam. Right? And the Torah, you learn Torah, it's tshuva, like we mentioned before Shana. And learning Torah does so many good things. So if a person, what's it called? If the Klal doesn't have Talmidei Chachamim, then that curses are much more serious. And that's why these curses are mentioned over here in the Gemara. And we're going to have to see this whole idea as we continue. So let's start over here. Kiat Rav Dimi Amar, when Rav Dimi came to Babel from Eretz Yisrael, he said, Shmoneh Esrei Kelalot Kilal Yeshaya et Yisrael. Yeshaya Hanavi, Isaiah, he cursed the Jewish people with 18 curses. And he was not satisfied until he said this final curse. That the young will rule the old, and the disgusting will rule over the respectable. Okay. What are these 18 curses? It comes from these pasukim. Ki hine ha'adon Adonai tzivot mesir Yerushalayim Yehuda, for behold, Lord of Yerushalayim, Lord of Hashem, the Lord Hashem, Master of legions, is removing from Jerusalem and from Judah Mesha'en u'Mesha'ena, support and mainstay. We have to explain what this means. Kol Misha'an lechem v'chol Misha'an mayim, every support of bread, every support of water. Gibor v'esh milchama, hero, man of war. Shayfed v'navi v'kaisim v'zakein, a judge, a navi, a diviner, and a zakein. A diviner usually something you're not allowed to do. Not allowed to do kaisim. Okay, we'll have to see what that means. Okay, and then this was the part that we brought down that you needed to have in order to be someone who can learn Maaseh Merkavah. Sar Hamishim, be a captain of 50, Unsu Apanim, and a respected person, Ve'yo'etz, and an advisor, Ve'chacham, and a scholar, Chacham Charashim, a scholar of scholars, Unvon Lachash, and a comprehender of whispers. V'natati Ne'arim Sarehim, and has to make youngsters their leaders, Ve'ta'adolim Yimshalubam, and mockers will rule over them. Okay, now we have to explain what are the 18 actual curses. What do they mean? Mash'en elu ba'alei mikra. Support refers to the masters of scriptures. These are mash'en. When it's in the pasuk, the masters will go missing. It's talking about those who know all of Tanakh. Mash'ena elu ba'alei mishnah, and the mainstay, which is the mash'en, the support in female. Elu ba'alei mishnah. These are the ones who are the experts in mishnah. That they will disappear. Like Yehuda ben Tema and his friends. So the mash'en talking about Tanakh is in male, and mash'ena is in female, because l'maaseh the Torah is the main source, the Torah Shebiktav, and Torah Sheba'al Peh is coming to explain, right? And its influence completely, its whole the whole thing is because of the Torah Shebiktav. So it's like a male and a female. Okay. Now it said that you have to know all the Mishnah. That's the one, the Mash'ena, that's the one that disappeared. So how much Mishnayot were there? One says there were 600 Siddurim of Mishnayot. And one says Sheva Me'od Siddurim Mishnah. There were actually 700 Siddurim of Mishnayot. So 1 second, what happened to our Siddurim Mishnayot? We only have 6 today. Shisha Siddurim Mishnah, right? Shisha mi yodea, Shisha, Shesh Siddurim Mishnah. So what happened? And Gemara says there were 600 or 700. So there are really 3 schools of thought on this idea over here. From the Geonim, and the Geonim seem to say that Be'emet, there were 600 or 700 Mishnayot, Siddurim and Mishnayot that were given on Har Sinai to Moshe Rabbeinu. And until Hillel, they had it, but after Hillel's time, they lost it, so to speak. And they didn't lose the halachot from the thing. Everything that they had, the halachot, we still have in our Mishnayot, but they were put from 600, they were made into 6, or from 700, 600, then 600 to 6. Okay? Another explanation is that there were 6 siddurim always, but they were not standardized, and every yeshiva or every bedin or whatever it was had their own shisha siddur mishnah. So you had 100 different rabbis or communities or whatever it was that had their own version of the shisha siddur mishnah, and then 6 siddur mishnah. So you had 600, 700, and then Yehuda Nasi came and took all of those and made it into the Shisha of the Mishnah that we have in front of us. Rav Chaim Melazhin and the Chida take a little different approach, and they say that perhaps there were 600 Siddurim Mishnayot, and maybe a lot of them were of a Kabbalistic nature. Okay, there was Sitrei Torah. They were the secrets of the Torah, and therefore they're no longer available, so to speak, to the mass public. There's a Chuvat Geonim where they say that they once had someone come to the yeshiva and they gave a big drasha and everything, and as they saw him, he was holding a Mishnayot, a Seder Mishnayot that they didn't have, but they weren't able to get a copy of it. He left right away, and but they saw another Seder Mishnayot that they didn't have actually existed. So again, probably about Sitrei Torah, the secrets of the Torah, in that Seder or Mishnayot. Okay, so those are three schools of thought. There are 600 that were combined into the six. They weren't lost, but rather made easier to remember and put into six. Or there were 600 different versions, and then eventually put into the six versions that we have. 100 different versions of the six Seder Mishnah, and then put into one version that we have. Or that, let me say, there were other Seder Mishnayot, and they were of perhaps secrets of the Torah and Kabbalistic in nature. Continues. What else will disappear from Klal Yisrael as the curses for Klal Yisrael not doing tshuva? Kol mishan lechem, every supported bread. Elu baalei Talmud. These are the masters of Talmud. Ne'emar lechu lahamu velachmi ushtu biyayin ma'asachti. Come and partake of my bread and drink of the wine that I have mixed. Okay, so bread is very important. Bread is the main thing that you eat. The Gemara is the main thing that you eat, right? And in fact, we know that the old Klal Yisrael stands on learning of the Talmud, and so much so that the SS, right, the Nazis, Yimach Shemam, the SS, they when they were attacking the Jews, they put out a letter that the first people that you should go after and kill is the Talmud learners, those who learn Talmud. They felt that if you get rid of the Talmud learners, there is no more Klal Yisrael. So it is right. It is the lechem is those who learn Talmud. And every support of water. Also, we go this missing is every support of water, which refers to those who are able to tell stories and say the agadot, the non-halachic portions of the Talmud that draws people to them and draw them closer to Hashem. Those will go missing. Gibor, who's the Gibor? Zeh Baal Shemuot. This is the master of halachic traditions. This is the guy who has halacha down packed. He knows all the halachot. He has them all in tradition. No matter what situation he is, he always knows the halacha. Most rabbis, if not all, today, they a lot of times, you ask them a question, if they're not holding in that topic, they need to go and open the book and check it because they know they haven't looked at that topic in a while. But there are some gibonim, know halacha so well that no matter what or where, what situation they're in, no matter what, they always have the halacha exactly as supposed to be in their heads because they're gibonim. V'yesh milchama. Then you have a man of war. Who's this? It's a little bit different. This guy's a lamdan. He doesn't know every halacha, but he knows how to learn, and he knows Torah. He knows how to learn, and he'll figure out from one to the other. Right? He'll know, based on this, based on that, based on this, based on that, and he'll come up to the right halacha. Right? This is ish milchama. Shofet zedayan shedan din emet la'amito, and shofet will also go missing. This is a judge who's the most truthful of judges. Okay, Navi, who's the Navi? Kimashmao, the Navi is a prophet, like a real prophet. Kosem, a diviner. Zeh Melech, talking about Melech. Diviner is usually somebody who uses magic to tell something. Like when Yosef Tzaddik was banging on the cup and knowing where everybody is and who everyone was, and pretending like that. That's a kosem. So cannot mean an actual kosem. So we say it means a melech. Why does it mean a melech? So two ideas that they say. Kosem by a melech is just like a kosem knows things. A melech knows things. A melech, a king, a government should have intelligence to know what's going on where. The CIA, the FBI, whatever they have, right? KGB, I don't know, whatever they have. You have to have intelligence. So that's why he's considered like a kosem, because he has good information. Or kosem, he's a diviner because everything he says has to happen, right? They have to do it right away. So he's like, in that sense, he says it and it happens. He's a kesem. Shneimar kesem asirtei melech. Divination on the lips of a king. Okay. Zaken. What's a zaken that'll go missing? Zeh sharoi li'shiva. This is someone who's able to sit on the yeshiva. Someone sit in the rabbinical academy. Sar Hamishim. Atikai Sar Hamishim. El Sar Humashim. The prince on the Humash. Not the entire Torah, but Humash. But he knows it so well that he's able to bring proofs to everything in the Torah from the 5 books of Moses itself. זה שיודע לישא וליתן 5 חומשי תורה. דבר אחר, שר 50 כרבי אבהו, דאמר רבי אבהו, מכאן שאינו מעמידים מתורגמן הציבור פחות מ-50 שנה. How do you know that you're not supposed to put somebody on top of the tzibur unless he's 50 years old? As it says, Sar Hamishim. Okay? He has to be 50 years old. The guy who speaks to the public should be someone who commands respect, and he should be of an age where he understands, and he's already at a certain age where he understands more, and he's able to relate more and able to explain more. And so he has to be Hamishim Shana. That's what we said a person shouldn't learn Kabbalah until he's 50, although we say 40 from different reasons. From here we say he should be Sar Hamishim. He should be 50, just to mention, by Beryl Wine, who passed away recently. He said that the older he got, the more tolerating he got, more patience he got, the more he saw the way world works, and he wasn't as anymore hot-blooded, or so to speak, as others. So there is a big Indian of being older, right? Okay, Unsufanim. He has to be, yeah?
How do we compromise, I guess, or make it a correlation to one another? The younger generation these days becoming more and more prominent in the community, like leaders of the shul, for example.
We're going to see that's actually part of the curse. That's actually part of the curse that the youngers are going to take over. All right, let's continue. Very good. Unsuf anim, and respected person. This is also going to disappear from Klal Yisrael. This is somebody who is very respected in Shemayim. That they say, because the whole world survives and he only survives once a week, he eats a little carob. Limatab, also a respected person on this earth. Like Rabbi Abahu in the house of the Kesar. When Rabbi Abahu would go to the Caesar's palace, the ladies of the palace would come out, and the shvachot, the servants, lady servants will come out, and the matrons of the Caesar's house will go out and sing, Prince of his people, leader of his nation, radiant as light kindle, as a lit candle. May your arrival be blessed with peace. So they would give him a lot of respect. Okay, so that's what we mean by unsupanim. A yoretz, an advisor, sheyodea le'abir shanim v'likboa chodashim. An advisor means that he knows how to make months into years and fix months. Basically, he knows how to do the calendar, right? When to add a year, when to add a month to the year, when to add a date to the month. B'chacham, zeh tamid hamechakim et rabotav. The chacham is somebody who makes his Rebbeim smarter. He asks good questions. Harashim, when he starts talking, everybody else goes silent. He's that great of a speaker. No one understands what he's saying, but everyone wants to hear what he's saying. He's on that level, such a high. Unvon, a comprehender. Unvon, davar mitoch davar. This is somebody who knows one thing from the other. That's what it means learning Gemara, the Rambam says. To be able to mevin davar mitoch davar. One thing, I understand the other thing. That's unvon. Lahash, a whisperer, zeh sheroi limsor lo divrei Torah shenitana b'lahash. A whisperer is someone who's appropriate to give him the secrets of the Torah. That's also going to go missing. Benatati, now what's the 18th curse? Benatati na'arim sarehem. I shall make youngsters their leaders, and mockers will rule them. So the curse of Yeshaya is, at the end, the youngsters are going to rule the elders. My benatati na'arim sarehem. Amar Elazar, elu bnei adam shemenu'arin min hamitzvot. You know who's going to become leaders? Those who are completely missing of mitzvot, and they become leaders. V'tanulim yimshelubam, and mockers, right? The tanulim, they're going to rule them. Amar papa amar vacha bar Yaakov ta'ale v'nei ta'ale. Foxes, the son of foxes. Foxes are very, very, to be tricky, and those who take over, they're going to pretend to be, I'm a tzaddik on the outside. Really, they're not tzaddikim on the inside. And they're going to be tricksters, the sons of tricksters, so to speak. thoroughly wicked, and they're going to be ones taking over. And he wasn't calm and satisfied until he gave them the next curse. And he said, the youngster will rule the old elder, all right, and the nikle banichbad, and the disgusting will rule over the respectful. These people have no mitzvot. And they're going to be taking over, and those people who have so many mitzvot. And the disgusting over the respectful. Somebody who, when he looks at a big sin, he looks at it as nothing. What? Guli arayot, what? Shfichat damim, killing somebody, what big deal? Who cares? Nothing, don't worry about it. He's going to come over and take over, and he's going to be on top of Vihiravu, Kimi, Bimi, Shikalot, Dumot, Alav Kahamurot. You take over the tzaddikim who look at the little sin as being a huge sin. So they're gonna take over. Now, why is Yeshaya, after all the curses he said, how come it says he wasn't satisfied up until this point? What does it mean he got satisfied after he cursed him with the 19th curse? Youngsters will rule over the elder, and the debased will rule over the respectable. What's going on here? So the Maharasha explains that we know that Hazuk Panim, that the person that when there's base, when there's this type of thing where youngsters and able people can, even think about taking over, that means Mashiach is on the way, right? The Gemara says when Hazuk Panim goes into the world, it's going to be a sign of Mashiach. So he was happy. At least Mashiach will come. The Hayeh Hayam says that the reason why Yeshaya was happy, so to speak, satisfied, is he thought maybe I'm giving all these curses and they're not improving. Maybe it's me who is not doing a good job. Because maybe if I did the right job, they would improve themselves. But they're not improving. So perhaps I'm not doing a good job, says Yeshaya. But then he sees that what? One of the curses is that the debased is going to be taking over the respectable. Things that are not normal are happening. It must be that those who have seichel are not getting a chance to, so to speak, talk or take a platform, and therefore them not listening to Yeshaya is not that he's not doing a good job, but rather it's part of the curse that they can't listen to him. Therefore, it's not his fault. Okay, because we know that we spoke about on Shabbat morning is that perhaps Noach's fault was that he wasn't able to influence his generation, and he should have. The fact that he didn't, he's getting punished for that. It's called Noach and all these other things, and that may have been what Yeshaya was worried about, that he wasn't doing a good job. So he said, no, he was doing a good job, but rather the young and the base with the middle over the elderly, and respectively, he realized that people's lack of responsiveness was itself one of the curses, and the fault was not his. There are two other approaches I would like to mention. The Hatam Sofer says that the way to understand this is that Yeshaya, when he's going through all these curses, he was very, very worried. He said, wow, there'll be no way to make Chachamim left. No way to make Chachamim left, that's going to be terrible. And there'll be the end of Klal Yisrael. But then he reads at the end, the last curse is, there'll be youngsters over the elders, and there'll be the discarded people over the good people. So meaning there's still some good people left, and there's still people with mitzvot left. And if such a case, then there's still a chance. Maybe that's why he was comforted, says the Hatam Sofer. The Yakuta Gishuni gives our final answer for today. And he says that usually if punishments happen in a regular way, just it looks natural and all, you're not entirely sure if it's doing a big tikkun. But when it comes as an unnatural punishment, and it's not something that usually happens, and it's happening, and that's the punishment, then you should know, that is an actual tikkun for Klal Yisrael. Therefore, the Yeshayahu, when he goes through these curses, he says all these things are so unnatural, right? Especially this last one, that the youngsters should rule the elders, and the disgusting people should rule over the respected people. that it is a tikkun, and if it's a tikkun, it's good for Klal Yisrael, because then Mashiach will come faster. Okay, so those are a couple of answers, and that's where we will get up to today. Zat Hashem, next time we'll pick up from over here, interesting stories about the Maaseh Merkava, going up to Shemayim and seeing the Pardes. Zat Hashem, hopefully next week. Everyone.